Hey boys and girls, thanks for choosing to read a story with me today. I am going to read you Jump from the Life of Michael Jordan by Floyd Cooper. His name was Michael, and from the time he was a little boy, he always seemed to be in and out of mischief. His parents did their best to keep all of the Jordan kids busy at their home in Wallace, North Carolina. James, Ronald, and Dolores, Larry, and Rosalind, those kids couldn't have been happier playing sports and games. But Michael, he just had a different kind of energy and curiosity too. Like at the time his daddy told him, "Don't touch the axe," and Michael heard him say, plain as day, "Don't touch the axe." But he took the axe anyway, and behind the house he began to chop, 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 chop. It wasn't long before that axe came down on his 5-year-old toe. The Jordans kept on trying. 5 kids aren't easy. Along with sports, they gave all the children rules and chores to keep them plenty busy. But there just weren't enough rules or chores to match the boundless bustle of those Jordan kids. They bounced off the walls of their bungalow home, and young Michael was the bounciest. Maybe, the Jordans figured, if they moved to another house with more room and space. And that's what they did. When Michael was 7 years old, the Jordans moved to suburban Williamton, North Carolina. Michael's mom and dad even let the kids help build the house so they could learn how working together as a team was a way to get things done, and so they could get rid of some of that energy. At the new house, Michael ran and played with his new friends. Mostly, though, Michael tried to keep up with his older brother, Larry. Trouble was, no matter how Michael tried, it seemed as if Larry was bigger, quicker, and luckier. Michael did not give up. No. The more Michael lost, the harder he tried. But the truth is, Larry was always one jump sooner in checkers, one stroke faster in swimming, one breath longer underwater. Larry dashed, Michael only ran. Larry sang, Michael croaked. Larry leaped, Michael only hopped. In fact, growing up, his family called him Michael Rabbit. One of the first things that Michael's father had done at the new house was put up a basketball hoop right in the backyard. Kids from all over would play on that hoop. But more and more, after the other kids had gone, the games ended up being a contest between Larry and Michael. They would play one-on-one so much that the grass underneath the hoop refused to grow from the pounding. Michael wasn't growing much either, so he started hanging by his arms from a swing set for hours each day, hoping to stretch himself taller. But it was no use. For too many years, Michael was still only Rabbit. Now, Michael knew there was only one way for him to play basketball better than Larry, and that was to play more. He looked to pick up games on the blacktop at school or in the park. Or after he'd lose to Larry, he'd play alone, pounding and sweating and working that poor little backyard court like his sharecropper grandpa worked the soil, from daybreak to day's end. And he wouldn't stop until he heard the screen door spring and his father's voice saying, "Come on in now, son, time for bed." Just when he discovered the game at Laney High School is hard to say, but the sun seemed hotter there, the moves seemed quicker on the blacktop court there, the hoops seemed higher, and the game seemed better to 11-year-old Michael. The raw power of the springy older players as they shot the ball and talked trash in the hot, salty breeze, now that was something to see and hear. What did he want? Why, he wanted to be asked to play. But for what seemed like a long time, he did a little more than wish. Time helps. And it helped Michael. By the time he was in junior high, he was turning out to be a fair basketball player. In fact, when he was 12, he led his baseball team to the state championship. He grew smarter, too, persuading his friends to do some of his dreaded chores, like mowing the lawn, and leaving him only to do the ones he enjoyed, like ironing his own shirts. And as he began to grow taller than anyone in his family, hanging on the swing sets must have helped. One thing Michael always had time for was friends, and he had friends of many different backgrounds and cultures. His best friend was a white boy named David, and he hadn't given much thought to color until one day when he and David went to a swimming pool party, and they were surprised when Michael turned out to be the only black kid there. Michael was even more surprised when he jumped into the pool and all the white kids got out. He decided he didn't want to be where he wasn't welcome and left the party. Michael knew he had a true friend when David left with him. Despite all the baseball that was going down, By the time he was in high school, Michael started to live and breathe basketball. He loved everything about it, the smell of the ball, the swoosh of the net. Soon it was all he wanted to play. He even gave up baseball. He saw less and less of Larry these days because Larry was becoming a true sports star. He was too busy to play with his little brother. More and more, Michael hung out at the blacktop by the high school. One day, the blacktop kids asked him to play. There was a crowd gathered by the fence, boys and girls, but this was Michael's chance. Suddenly, Michael had the ball. He dribbled it down the court, taking the ball hard to the hole, and just as he reached the rim, bam! A huge body slammed into Michael. From the hot tack tar, he looked up at the ball as it bounced off the rim. Michael had blown the layup. From the side, a voice broke the slow-mo silence in a teasing, mocking line. "Hey, ears, open your eyes." Michael gritted himself back to the game, but the taunts began to spread from the onlookers. With each dribble, he was scoffed for his little boy haircut and the way his ears stuck out. With every layup, he was jeered about the way his tongue hung out of his mouth when he shot the ball, and right in front of the girls. None of it stopped Michael. He came back and played the next day, and the next, and the next. The truth is he got better and better. And finally, one day, he and his buddy Leroy decided to try out for the Laney School varsity basketball team. Surely he would make it. Larry had. But at the end of the week, when the list of players was put up, there was no Michael Jordan on it. Even Leroy had made the team. But Coach Herring had seen something he liked in the plucky kid. He put him on the junior varsity team and offered to coach Michael one-on-one if Michael could not meet him before school every morning at 6 a.m. Michael not only came, he worked hard dribbling, passing, and shooting. Dribbling, passing, and shooting. Shooting, shooting. And Michael began to get just not okay, but good. He got so good, in fact, that the varsity players started coming all to the junior varsity games to watch Michael play. We don't know exactly when Michael turned the tables on Larry for the first time, but it may very well have happened the summer that Michael shot up 4 inches and went to basketball camp. One afternoon, the two started going at it again on the backyard hoop. And at first, it seemed just like old times. Family and friends gathered around the hot, sticky court to watch the two brothers. But something was different. When Larry dashed across the court, Michael was there. Larry leaped for the hoop. Michael was there too. Soon the brothers were in the thick of the game, and a tangle of arms and legs flashing around the orange ball. Could Michael actually win? Larry wasn't worried. He was ahead of Michael by 1 point. Larry grinned. It was the usual end to the usual game. Then Michael had the ball. They both knew what usual meant. Michael would leap to dunk, and Larry would jump higher, grab it, and dunk for the win. Well, Michael leaped just like always, and Larry leaped just like always. But Michael kept going and going, past the wide span of Larry's hands. It seemed as if Michael was just hung there for a moment, as if waiting. Was it possible he had out-jumped the master? He had, and he dunked the ball in the hoop for the win. Michael smiled. He had beaten his brother, the best at his own game. The laughing and hand-slapping that followed that magical game followed Michael Jordan, Rabbit, through his entire career. From basketball camps to college teams, and finally to the professional world of basketball, the NBA. And Larry was there too, always an athlete in his own right, but rooting for his best competitor. Brothers, friends, whatever Michael Jordan became had started at their backyard hoop with Larry, with games that went on past dark, that pushed Michael Jordan to become more than he was, and more than any basketball player had ever been in all time. Here is a note about Michael Jordan. I hope you guys enjoyed this story.